Hey, quick question. Have you ever scrolled through gaming Twitter for more than 30 seconds and not seen a comparison that made you stop and go, what the hell are you saying? Like, why doesn't Mario Kart look as realistic as Gran Turismo? Or, why is this new 2D indie platformer full price when Red Dead Redemption 2 exists at the same price? Bro, what? Look, I get it. We are human. Comparing stuff is what we do. That's not just a random opinion. Science actually backs it up. Studies in psychology and neuroscience have shown that up to 10% of all our thoughts involve some kind of comparison. That's insane. 10%! That's like every time I go out, I'm comparing at least something once. And for what? But while comparison is natural, human even, not all comparisons make sense. And when it comes to gaming, there are some that are so painfully dumb, I just had to sit down and make this video. So let's talk about it. Let's start with the science. Because humans are hardwired to compare. We do it to evaluate our own progress, understand social dynamics, and make decisions. There's this concept called social comparison theory, which was introduced by psychologist Leon Festinger in the 1950s. Basically, it says we constantly evaluate ourselves by comparing to others, whether we're doing better, worse, or the same. You've probably felt this in the past regarding gaming, right? Like, when you see someone on Twitch speedrunning Dark Souls blindfolded and you're like, I struggled with Margit for 3 days straight, and he's doing this? That's upward comparison. It makes us feel worse, but it can also motivate us. On the flip side, there's downward comparison. Looking at someone doing worse to feel better about ourselves. At least I'm not stuck in bronze, you say. You know the vibe, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, comparison is built in. But here's the thing, those are human comparisons, person to person, you versus me, us versus them. But comparing games, entire different types of experiences made for different audiences, on different platforms with different goals, that's where it all goes off the rails. At least in the gaming industry. But let's give some credit where it's due. Not all comparisons are bad. If we are talking about multiplayer games, especially those with ranked systems, sure, just knock yourself out. You can compare yourself to other players because the system is literally designed to do that. It gives you the data. I'm global elite, you are silver. Boom, done. There's a system in place, that's the point. Same goes for esports. If we are comparing, let's say, Counter-Strike professional teams, yeah, totally fair. They're all playing the same game, under the same rules, with the same goals actually. That makes sense. Even comparing two games within the same franchise. Sure, that makes sense. Like, is God of War better than God of War Ragnarok? That's a relatively fair conversation. But the moment we step out of that area, when people start comparing games that aren't even trying to do the same thing, that's when we start free falling into nonsense territory. Here's the one rule that people seem to forget. For a comparison to be meaningful, the things being compared need to have the same goals or target the same audience, or at least share some common traits. It's like comparing a skateboard to a mountain bike. Sure, both of them have wheels, but the use cases are so different that comparing them on speed, comfort and usability just doesn't make sense. Games work the same way. You cannot compare Mario Kart to Forza Horizon, for example. I don't care if they're both racing games. That's like saying Mario Party and Civilization are both strategy games. I mean, technically yeah, but what are we doing? Forza is going for realism, car culture, simulations, detailed weather systems, tire grip physics, while Mario Kart is about launching a turtle shell at your best friend's face 5 feet before the finish line. They're both fun, they're both great at what they do, but they are not competing in the same race. No pun intended. Okay, maybe some pun intended. Now, this is the real part of the rant. Why is it that Nintendo games get dragged every single time into gaming conversations like this? Seriously, people out there comparing Tears of the Kingdom to Horizon Forbidden West because the graphics don't look as good. Okay, cool, but let's break that down. Tears of the Kingdom was designed for the Nintendo Switch, a console that came out in 2017, and even then, it wasn't trying to match the PS4, let alone the PS5. It's got the power of a toaster running a marathon, but that doesn't matter. Because that's not the point of the game. That's not Nintendo's strategy. Nintendo never set out to create hyper-realistic environments. They care about art direction, the mechanics, the player freedom, and the polish. Tears of the Kingdom looks stunning because of its art style, not in spite of it. That soft lighting, the cel-shaded aesthetic, the sandbox aspect of the game, it's intentional. Meanwhile, Forbidden West is pushing the boundary of what current-gen graphics can do. It's cinematic, it's visual fidelity over everything. Both approaches are valid, but saying one is better than the other just because one is more realistic... Okay, let's talk about Pokémon. Now, that being said, Pokémon is the exception to the rule. Listen, I love Pokémon, you probably love Pokémon too, but come on. These last few games look like... how do I put it? They look like shit. I mean, what is this? Or this? And this isn't about the power of the Nintendo Switch. We've seen what the Switch can do. We've got Xenoblade Chronicles X, Luigi's Mansion 3, Tears of the Kingdom. These games all look phenomenal. On the very same console. So when the highest grossing franchise in the world, and yes, they're bigger than Star Wars, bigger than Marvel, even bigger than Mickey Mouse, gives us popping textures, broken animations and frame drops during basic walking, that's not a hardware issue. That's a development priority issue. They don't care, because they know we'll buy it anyway. And sadly, we do. So in this one very specific case, yes, compare Pokémon to games that cost the same and look 10 times better, because that comparison is fair. They could do better, they just don't. Going back to what we were talking about, another one that grinds my gears. People comparing games just because they cost the same. Why is Mario Kart $80 when Mafia is also $80? Why is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze still full price while The Last of Us went on sale? Guys, I get it. Price is important. I also hate what Nintendo's doing in the upcoming Switch generation too, but price does not automatically make games comparable. A price tag isn't a genre, it's not a feature, it's not a development cycle. Comparing Mafia to Mario Kart because they both cost $80 is like comparing a steak dinner to a Pixar movie because they both cost $20 on a Friday night. And I've seen that exact comparison on Twitter. Just because two things are expensive doesn't mean they serve the same function. Yes, we should talk about prices. Yes, we should criticize greedy practices. But comparing unrelated games just because of the price tag, that's lazy. We as a community can do better. Now, I'm not saying we should stop comparing games entirely. But the comparison needs to be grounded in something. Compare Elden Ring to Lies of P, for example. They're pretty much the same genre. That makes sense. Compare Hades to Dead Cells. Similar genre, same kind of pacing, similar roguelike elements as well, just go for it. Compare even Hogwarts Legacy to Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, sure, it's open world, small RPG elements, but please, stop comparing A Link Between Worlds to The Last of Us just because they came out in the same year. That's not even a fair comparison. They're doing different things. And a lot of these dumb comparisons aren't even made in good faith, let's be honest. It's people chasing clout on social media or being pure fanboys of a brand. A spicy take, a viral tweet. This indie game has more soul than all of AAA's combined. Nintendo graphics are a joke in 2025. You've seen them all, you've seen it. These aren't comparisons. They are performances on the internet, on Twitter. And the worst part? They actually distract you from the real, necessary conversations, like the ridiculous price hikes, or the way some publishers milk old games, or the crunch behind the scenes that we rarely see. So, here's the takeaway. Comparison is natural. It's what we do. But we have to be smarter about it. Let's compare where it makes sense. Similar goals, similar genres, similar target audiences. Let's stop pretending that graphical fidelity is the only metric of quality. Let's call out nonsense pricing without dragging unrelated games into the mud. And maybe, just maybe, let's enjoy Mario Kart without needing it to look like Gran Turismo. So yeah, that's it. That's the rant. That's the video. Now, I'm gonna go compare the lunch I just made to the one I had last week in Spiral into an existential crisis. You do you. If you liked the video, give it a like, share with someone who compares Animal Crossing to God of War, and leave a comment telling me the dumbest gaming comparison you've ever seen. I'll pin the best one in the comments. See you next time.